This is our Eco Rack Pannier. In your box, you'll find 2 identical pannier plates, a support bracket, 6 spacers, and 2 different sizes of M5 bolts, along with washers and nuts. Okay, the first step in assembling our Rack Pannier is to attach our pannier plate to our center support bracket. To do that, we've got our short M5 hardware, the washers, and the nuts that are required. So we're gonna place the support bracket in the appropriate location, which is these 2 holes here. And we're gonna point the tabs on the bracket in towards the center. Place a bolt through the hole and through the support bracket. And we're just gonna get a washer and a nut started on the inside. Do that again for the lower hole. Same thing, washer. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Obviously, it's the same part, so you wanna make sure that it's oriented correctly. There's only one way it can attach. And we'll place our bolts through both pieces, washers and nuts on the bottom, and then we'll tighten everything down. Now that we've got all the hardware started, we're gonna tighten the hardware, and that can be done with a 3mm hex key, or you can use a socket adapter on a socket wrench. And you'll also need an 8mm wrench or an 8mm socket. Once that's snug, you can move on. We don't need to tighten it too much because these are lock nuts and they won't come loose. All right, same thing on the other side. Ensure that all 4 sets of hardware are snug, and that's it. Assembly's complete. We're ready to install it on the bike. If you've got an Eco Rack Pannier and you want to put it on your Eco rear rack, I'm going to show you how to do that. We've got our Rack Pannier assembled, and we've got all of our hardware laid out that came with the kit. Find the 3 holes that align with the 3 holes on the edge of the rack. So you can hold that up. I'm just gonna check for now and make sure I know which holes those are. So we've got the ones here with a little bit of extra material, here and here, and then the one between them. Our bracket, of course, goes to the rear. It won't work if it goes to the front. So I'm gonna start a bolt in each of those holes. If you've got an extra set of hands, that can be helpful, but it's not entirely necessary. Your kit also came with spacers. So how this works is that spacer goes between the rack and the Rack Pannier. Once we get one started, it gets a lot easier. So we'll slide a washer on the inside and a nut, and we're just gonna get that started for now. Moving on to the second one, we're gonna pull the bolt back a little bit, rotate it into position, and pop that through the hole in the rack. Same thing. Don't worry that it's setting crooked right now, because everything will square up once all the hardware is in place. Onto our front bolt. I'm gonna pull the bolt back, get the spacer in place, and then I'll push the bolt through and through the hole in the rack. And we're just gonna get that started finger tight. We don't wanna tighten these all the way because they'll fight us on the other side. For this side, we've got 3 remaining long bolts and 3 spacers. We're gonna do it a little bit differently. We're gonna rotate it into position and slide the bolt through. Again, a washer and a nut just to start it. Not tightening anything yet. Repeat for the next 2. Get our washer and our nut onto that one. So that's all of our hardware started. Want to double check that our spacers are all in place and that things look like they're not gonna make contact with any other components, which they shouldn't. And we'll be using a 3mm Allen or hex wrench on the outside and an 8mm wrench, and we're just gonna work our way around and tighten all 6 sets. As we get our first one snug, it should start to square everything up. And since they're all started, you can go ahead and tighten it down. That's one side tight. That's it. We've got all 6 mounting bolts tight. Double check that everything looks good. And that's your rack pannier mounted to your Eco rear rack.